attacked as being anti-Semitic, which is what happened to Congresswoman Omar. And I think the context here is really important. For a long time, the bipartisan piety was not just that the U.S. has to support Israel, but that in particular, the effort to boycott Israel in protest of its occupation of Palestine is not just misguided, but anti-Semitic. That's the official position of the Democratic Party, of Hillary Clinton, of Chuck Schumer, of every leading Democrat. And now suddenly you have these two really exciting, dynamic, charismatic women of color newly elected to Congress, the first two Muslim women elected to Congress, who both are supporters of the boycott of Israel, which the Democratic Party says is bigotry and anti-Semitism, and it's created this very awkward moment. So of course, the minute two Muslim women arrive in Congress, they're going to get attacked as anti-Semitic if they're critical of Israel, which they are, just like Keith Ellison, the first Muslim ever elected to Congress, got vilified as being an anti-Semite by Chaim Sabin, the billionaire funder of the Democratic Party, when he tried to be the chairman of the DNC. What the Congresswoman said is very uncontroversial. Everyone knows AIPAC is an extremely intimidating lobby, just like the NRA is. There's nothing wrong with pointing that out. There's certainly nothing anti-Semitic about saying that, about criticizing the Israeli government for its aggression and militarism. And anybody who cares about Palestinians and about the ability of Muslims in the United States to be able to speak freely ought to be defending her. And the last one I would add is my point was in saying how weird it is, what a priority it is for U.S. politicians to defend Israel, was based on the fact that the very first bill passed by the U.S. Senate was not about helping Americans. It was about empowering states to punish people who support a boycott of Israel, a bill sponsored by Marco Rubio, who got more money from Sheldon Adelson than any other politician in 2016, and then was supported by half of the Democratic Senate caucus. That's what I was referring to. And the Congresswoman was saying a big reason for that is the moneyed interest in Washington that demand that. And of course, everyone knows that's true. And to call that anti-Semitic is just obscene.
So just great work here from Glenn Greenwald to dispel all the bullshit around the attacks that Ilhan Omar is receiving. And just to expand on the BDS bill that was passed in the Senate. So again, the BDS stands for the Boycott, Divestment, and Sanctions Movement. And it's a movement that moves to put economic pressure on the far right-wing Israeli government to stop oppressing the Palestinian people. Now, this bill that passed, it essentially allows employees to be fired from their job if they are in support of the BDS movement. Now, if you think this is crazy, you're right. It is crazy. And it's already had an impact. So very similar bills have been passed in other states that have already fired people. So, for example, this reporting from The Intercept. A Texas elementary school speech pathologist refused to sign a pro-Israel oath, now mandatory in many states, so she lost her job. This is clearly unconstitutional. It's against the First Amendment. If you have a different position on Israel-Palestine, if you support the BDS movement, you can lose your job. This is clearly against free speech. So for this to exist, I mean, this is exactly what Ilhan Omar is talking about. How all of these politicians, the reason they supported this shitty bill is because they are bought off by a certain lobby that has a certain interest in the far right-wing Israeli government, that has an interest in continuing to oppress the Palestinian people. How can you not see this? It is not anti-Semitic to call out a right-wing government. She is calling out the government of Israel. That is not anti-Semitic. And as you're going to see in a second, there are many Jewish people who are on the other side of this issue. So let me show you this clip of Katie Halper standing up for Ilhan Omar when she was on Fox News.
Katie, you say that Omar's comments are both not anti-Semitic, and you didn't have a problem, I imagine, with the first comments.
No, I mean, I have a problem with smearing her
fine.
as an anti-Semite. She said something, this is how anti-Semitic it was apparently. She said something that Thomas Friedman, major supporter of Israel, has said. Thomas Friedman said an applause that Bibi Netanyahu received was paid for by the Israel lobby. There's nothing anti-Semitic in there. What is anti-Semitic, though, if you wanted to talk about anti-Semitic tropes and playing into those, is what Kevin McCarthy, who along with Donald Trump is going after Omar, what he said in a tweet that he deleted, Soros and Bloomberg and Steyer were buying the election. Now, that is an anti-Semitic trope that he definitely played into. He deleted the tweet, but he never apologized. Schumer has said things that are very Islamophobic, for instance, and no one asked him to apologize. There's this double standard.
But no pattern. You see no pattern
there's
among some of these newer congresswomen
if you speak out against
who seem
Israel,
to equate money
you're
with
equated
Jews.
with anti-Semitism. Chuck Schumer, for instance, said that there's no peace in the Middle East because Palestinians don't follow the Torah.
Katie.
Of course, we say it's our land. The Torah says it. But they don't believe in the Torah. So that's the reason there is not peace.
Which is theocracy.
The reason why there is a state of Israel is because the Jewish people were almost exterminated from the face of the globe, and they did not have a sanctuary place they could go to have their own state. There wasn't a state for Jews to be able to call their own.
And by the way, it's their,
and by the way, it's their lands. We don't have to agree with absolutely every decision their government makes, but it is wrong to attack them as a people.
Well, no one attacked them as a people, luckily.
I just saw that tweet.
AIPAC. I'm a Jew. I'm a person. No one attacked me because I don't support AIPAC. Millions of Jews don't support AIPAC, and that's why there are all these alternatives.
But this is the problem.
Because Jews like me are really tired of having AIPAC, which is a very small but very powerful elite minority representation of Jews. It's very tiresome to have them claim to speak for all Jews and conflate Jewish identity with unquestioning support of Israel, which is an anti-Semitic trope in itself.
Let me just say this, Laura. This is the big dynamic.
It would be nice if Donald Trump had actually condemned the people in Charlottesville. And you, Matt, you work in his communications,
if I could please just answer.
Why didn't he condemn the people in Charlottesville?
Let's stay on
you guys, I gotta tell you,
guys, stop in the statement.
Katie Halper just absolutely destroyed them. And now look, to be fair, it's really easy when the facts are on your side. The facts are on Katie Halper's side. The facts are on our side. So this idea that you can be, or that you're anti-Semitic if you call out how money affects politics, it's just completely insane. Everybody understands this. There are articles after article about how politicians in Washington understand this, that if they understand that if they are not on the side of Israel, then there is an entire lobby that's going to push back against them. And not only will they not give money to them, but they will give money to any opponent that goes up against them. So this is what politicians in Washington face. Now, luckily, we finally have brave people like Ilhan Omar and AOC and Rashida Tlaib that will be on the other side of this issue. But for years and years and years, this conversation has been completely one-sided, and it's because of the influence of money in politics, because of the influence of AIPAC and other organizations that give these politicians money or fund their competitors. So this is all just obvious. Everyone knows this. It doesn't make you anti-Semitic to be critical of a right-wing Israeli government and understand the influence of money in politics. And I'm glad we have at least some people that are allowed on television to discuss this issue and actually defend Ilhan Omar.